Hi Libra. It is Leo season, and your scales might feel a little unbalanced right now. You may be trying to reason some way, some sort, with things going on in your life, as we have a lot in Leo, and there's just a lot going on. However, Mercury heads into Virgo on the 4th, so this coming week, and you begin to have some reason. You begin to understand the force behind what Cancer season was for you, but this is about what you're doing for yourself. This is about bringing together this very purposeful place and also moving things forward. Things may have felt very slow up until this point in many aspects of your life. However, it's because it's almost like already we're getting close to your season, and it was time to understand and make steps and have this understanding of yourself. And I think you're coming into a deeper understanding of yourself, on a deeper emotional level. We'll get into why it could be someone else, but this is about you. What most likely you're going to find out is that Cancer season prepared you for something. And coming into this month, you came into it thinking it was going to maybe be a certain way, but it's still the beginning. There's still time for it to unfold and develop. And there are things that really needed your full attention. And now you get to understand how to utilize this depth of understanding. You may even be offered an opportunity based off of where you've gotten thus far. You may be offered love as well, but ultimately you're offered this time in life where you can continuously move along on your path and yet take time to yourself. You may find that you're cutting out a lot of different things in your life. The Ace of Swords is showing up to say use this wisely. You're being offered the opportunity and the clarity now to not just swing this around, but it's Leo season, so things are going to be exposed. So positive and negative things will be exposed. You'll come to an understanding as to why these things are being exposed, and you'll want to act upon it. You'll want to make intentional cuts. The offerings that are coming along, the possible offering that's coming along to you, whether it's love or if it's an opportunity in career, makes you realize why so many things are being cut out of your life. This is a type of rebirth that you're going through. And it doesn't mean you can't celebrate through it. It just may feel different. There is a distinct understanding of last month is a lot about reparenting yourself, and then this month it's the same, but there's also this ability to enjoy or indulge. And it's important not to indulge too much in the things that distract you from what's important, but you can still have fun with it. You can still utilize this time. And this rebirth needs you to find those moments where you may need to speak up, but you find this grounded sense that Leos have innately. You find this grounded sense of self through that speaking up. You're not just speaking up about things that are frivolous. It's about your values, what you believe in, what you want to believe in, how you've changed from the tradition, how that doesn't necessarily work for you, how you see your life moving forward. What that looks like for you and for whomever is involved very closely. You could have reason to doubt, of course, what you're saying, but it's saying to go and follow through. To follow through, and if you're noticing that the 3 cups that came out before, if that's actually what's holding you back, then it's important to take the cup that's coming to you throughout probably the middle of the month. For some, it may come quicker. There's Leo season shining upon, and this is what this rebirth is for you. And towards the end of the month, you're going to come out of it differently. It's not that, like, nothing about this month is necessarily negative. It's just showing you what and where. And Leo shines a light on what's sensitive to you right now. As you're going through this rebirth, you're changing. And it's not only you, it's your entire life. It's whatever else, like wherever else those rays touch, wherever else that light touches, right? So it's not just what you were, that one thing that you're focused on, as you know. And you may have to have conversation with a person or people in your life who are immediately like the core people in your life, because this is still very like an intimate thing. But what you'll find is through this is it helps heal the parts of your heart that needed this upheaval, needed this shift, needed this change that's happening. You feel very composed, and yet you don't have to be, right? There's no reason why you have to be composed at this time. Going through a rebirth, we're all allowed to shift and change, but this could be you making room for a possibility with a Scorpio even. You may want to start to share your life in a different way with this person. But you could also be expressing your whatever it is that you may fear, doubt about the changes that you're making on those very like deep internal ways of being, like the traditions, your values, the different ways you've grown up, the different ways that you're choosing not to play out that way of life anymore. And how that begins to shift and change can of course bring up doubt. That can of course bring up you thinking that way was better. But if you want something else, and if you're looking towards the future and you're preparing your life for yourself as you're going through this rebirth, you're going to have those phases of feeling like, okay, the present is important, but like, what is it that I'm going for? What is it that you're needing to deal with and look at now? And it's about where maybe you are changing from needing your head and your heart necessarily to be on the same page all the time, because one of them is moving, and for most of you, it's your heart is moving forward in a more logical way than even your mind is. Your mind is letting go of what can no longer be of value as you move forward into this new rebirth, this new setting in your life. And you feel plenty capable. You have so much support, and you have so much support within yourself. You don't find that you are misusing your temper just because things are shifting and changing, or you find that you have a more even-keeled month this month. However, it's not going to look, this Leo season, from the last few signs, I've only done a few before this, but it's a little bit different than maybe it used to be. Not saying for you specifically, it could be not so extroverted for you as well. But towards the end of the month, you'll find yourself opening up more in a different way. You're ready to open up in a way that you just going through the motions, perhaps. You may also receive some insight from someone in a very playful manner. Like it was like unexpected. You may just be having a conversation or doing something, and all of a sudden there's like this gem that comes out of their mouth, or from the conversation you find like a metaphor or something that makes sense to you. So that is something you're going to want to maybe not take light of so much. And it might not even be something you have to think about. It might just hit you and you're just like, oh, this makes sense. This is what I've been missing. And if that triggers you, notice why it's triggering you, and notice that you have to, again, use that sword to clear up the space for the new things to grow, the new possibilities to grow, this new opportunity coming along would have asked you to do that anyway. So if you're being asked to do, or you feel this inkling to do certain things, it's not necessarily you have to be drastic about it. It's more just what is needed to be trimmed down. Like if you're looking at a plant and where it needs to be trimmed down so it could be brighter, more full, it's just taking away those little dead parts. It's just pruning. So you're pruning up this month, and towards the end of the month you understand why this was necessary. Like whatever changed you from Cancer season until Leo season, there was a change. There was a shift in how you move your body, move yourself, move in your life. And you needed it in order to get to where you are. So anytime you start to doubt that, it's really important sometimes to look back and say, oh, that's maybe why. That's what it is. And not to get too caught and lost in all the different transactions or different things that have happened or could happen or would happen, because those things are only just made up. Like it's possible for sure, but there's a certain level-headedness that you're finding, and a certain even keel of your emotions that you're finding really important in the beginning of the month. Towards the end of the month, there will be a lot more to experience and celebrate. In the middle of the month, we'll ask you to be a little more outgoing, a little bit more just free with yourself in a way that maybe you haven't been in a while, and it may feel uncomfortable at first, but that's also what gets you out of that looking too much at what was, and you're being offered what could be. You know, you're growing, and if you're in a partnership, it looks like you're growing together. It looks like they might be, and if they're Cancer or Scorpio, they might be on the stronger or the end of things now, where it's not that you're weak, but the strength and the undertone and the driving forces right now is them. And they're doing things that you kind of had to slow down about, because through this change that you're going through, you need to allow yourself the proper time as a human, to understand that, yes, people are always going to need your help. And this month you'll find that you needed, and this is something about Leos, and I said to them in their video, and they're coming up at the end here, so it's possible that you may want to watch that video as well, what you're exposed to is that, yes, it's important to help other people. Yes, it's important to be there and give the advice that's important, because you have solid advice right now, but it's really important for you only to say things that are necessary, because it's going to take away from the enjoyment and the celebration that you need to be having through halfway through the month. If you get too involved in anyone else's life right now, you are not understanding what Leo season is bringing to you. So whatever happened last month is bringing you into this month, saying you need to really hone your energy. You need to protect it. Leos know when to take themselves out of situations, even if it's in a loving situation and is all good stuff going on. They still need the time to themselves. They still want to have this balance, this relaxation, this understanding of themselves. And what that's exposing for you is how much more safe you feel in yourself, much more secure that you feel in yourself. And it's taking away, bottom of the deck, any hindrance on the mind, any constraint on the mind that you may be having. you'll understand what ties you to feeling good. Ultimately, like why it is that you feel good and what brings you that feeling, instead of just having it and always generating it for yourself. So this month is about learning how to generate that for yourself, and that's possibly this rebirth, is like what's important for you to generate that kind of feeling for yourself, and not just when you're playing off other people. And it's important to do that, don't get me wrong, but there's something that through the heart, which Leo also rules, is the heart, the sun, the heart, and the back. It's ruled by the sun, and it rules the heart, because every part rules a body part. So we'll get more into that into the second part when we take a look at the cards. I also talk about the body parts, that if the signs come out, those signs and the planets that rule them, and what body part goes along with that, because I find that the body has so much more to tell us, and the intuition. So maybe there's something about really listening to your body this month, and how that's the connection between your emotions and what is actually happening. And by the end of the month, again, you'll have this great insight of how you're able to generate that for yourself, and how much more calmness, patience, compassion you have, and you're now finally applying it to yourself in a way that when we get to your month, you'll really be able to let go and celebrate even more, where you'll be able to open up even more. But the next couple months is about you understanding and, again, protecting your energy, learning to know it's important to keep this chariot going. That's a big one. And it has to do with your work. There will be people who are going to celebrate you at work this month. You might find that the more that you go through this, you may be feeling like this interesting or weird, or this oddness, and not so, peppy, which is weird because it's Leo season, but then you find other people want to celebrate you, so then you want to celebrate you, and then it changes this whole aspect, and you may find that it has been deep within your own traditional upbringing. And you find that, okay, just because it was like that doesn't mean I have to be like that. And it's important for this part of me to be exposed to myself, so I understand where the healing actually is and what's needed and what's necessary. And you may find yourself in deep forgiveness and acceptance of yourself. And there could even be a reconciliation of you and a Leo if there has been something that's gone on between you and a Leo. Yeah. So just let yourself be. Let yourself witness. And of course, enjoy. Speak up when you need to, especially pay attention to those conversations, maybe with someone younger than you. I get the feeling that they're younger, but they seem to there's something going on in their life. They could be a Taurus, that they just really have some gem to offer you. But also be careful of absorbing, because they may be in a sense of self-doubt as well. So just be careful with that. Okay, Libra? So usually I want to say this in the beginning, but all information to work with me is below. I started a podcast. That information will also be below if you want to get to know me a little bit more, and how all of what I talk about is influenced in how I read cards as well. Part 2 of this, where we go over this a little bit more in depth when we look at the cards, is on Patreon first, and then it comes out on YouTube later in the month. All right, I think that's it. Again, all personal readings are below, and I do have openings for that. Okay, and I'll see you next month. Bye, Libra.